Hi everyone, welcome to Brazos Bookstore's Storytime for Cam's Family Day. Obviously we couldn't do it in person unfortunately, but we have filmed some videos for you guys to enjoy from home, so we hope you guys have a really good family day virtually. For those of you who don't know, Brazos is Houston's oldest independent bookstore. We have been around since the 70s, and though we're currently closed for customers, you can still order books online for curbside pickup and shipping, and hopefully someday soon we'll be able to have you guys back in the store. So let's get started with our book. Okay, so our book is Kamala and Maya's Big Idea by Meena Harris. You know what should be out there? Kamala asked her sister Maya. Us, said Maya. A slide, said Kamala. And a swing, Maya added. A playground, they shouted together. Kamala and Maya had an idea. It was a very good idea, and a very big idea. They were going to need help. Wouldn't it be great if there was a playground in the courtyard, Maya said. That does sound nice, Mommy agreed. How can we make that happen, Kamala asked. Well, I suppose the first step would be to ask the landlord, the person who owns the building. So Kamala wrote a letter, and Maya drew a picture, and they went to see the landlord to discuss their idea. The landlord thought about it for less than a second. I don't think so, no. That was not the answer they wanted, but they weren't ready to give up. That night, the sisters tried to think of a way to turn a no into a yes. They asked the other kids in the building if they wanted a playground in the courtyard. Did they? Of course they did. And they had ideas too. Let's have a teeter-totter, and a basketball hoop, and flowers. So Kamala wrote a longer letter, and they went to see the landlord together. Dear landlord, right now the courtyard of our building is empty, and no one uses it. If there were swings, kids could fly high. If there was a sandbox, kids could build. If there was a slide, kids could go so fast, so far. Can you build it, please? The landlord thought about it for less than 5 seconds. A project this big is expensive. We don't have the money for that. Do your parents know you're here? This was not the answer they wanted, but Kamala was not ready to give up. If we ask our parents and do it all ourselves, can we fix up the courtyard? The landlord thought about that for a whole 10 seconds. Finally, he shrugged. If you can do it yourselves, sure. This wasn't exactly the answer they wanted, but it was a start. The kids all spoke to their parents about their ideas for the courtyard. They hung up posters and knocked on neighbors' doors. But they got the same answers from everyone. I'm sorry. Wow, that is a big job. Wish I could help. Which they knew meant no, no, no. But then Mr. Green stopped to talk. I work at a construction site, and I could maybe get some scrap lumber and some sand for a sandbox. Really? Kamala said. Yes, exclaimed Maya. Okay, I'll try. It wasn't a yes, but right now maybe was the sweetest word they had ever heard. Maybe gave them hope. The next weekend, maybe turned into yes. The kids all helped measure, and Mr. Green cut the boards. Then they sanded and hammered, and sanded some more. Then came the actual sand. They were all thanking Mr. Green when Ms. Lopez stopped to talk. I work at a garage. Maybe they have an extra tire for a teeter-totter. Another maybe. In the weeks that followed, lots of I don't knows turned into maybes, and then yeses. No one could do everything, but everyone could do something. Kamala and Maya wanted everyone to celebrate the new playground, so they made another big poster inviting their neighbors to a potluck party. There were hot dogs and hummus, spicy chicken and potato salad, strawberries and brownies and lemonade. Mrs. Flores set up a sprinkler for the kids to run through. Mr. Green brought the music. Kamala admired the new playground, but she noticed there was still one thing missing. No one knew how to make a slide, but Ms. Flores knew where they might buy one. I teach at Emerson Elementary, and they're redoing their playground. Maybe we could buy the old slide. This was a different kind of maybe. How can we afford that maybe? But now everyone was trying to find a way to turn that maybe into a yes. These brownies are delicious. Maybe we could have a bake sale. We can all bring toys and books and have a sidewalk sale. No one could do everything, but everyone could contribute something. When the slide arrived at last, Maya and Kamala got the first ride. The landlord was impressed. "I want to shake your hands, girls," he said. "You did a good job. You all did a good job." Kamala and Maya had an idea. It was a very good idea, and a very big idea. And, with a lot of help, they made it happen. Hooray for Kamala and Maya! Hooray for the Purr sisters! "What's next, Kamala?" Kamala looked up and said, "I'm wondering what the view is like from the roof." The end. And in the back you can read more. This is actually about Kamala Harris and her sister Maya, and so you can find out all about it here. And the book is still available for sale here at Brazos online or over the phone for curbside pickup or shipping. Alrighty, so we are going to be reading an excerpt from Houston author Varsha Bajaj's middle grade book, Count Me In, which is all about a young girl named Karina. It was in 6th grade, early in the school year. It was still 98 degrees because apparently the weather gods had not flipped the calendar from summer to fall yet. Every ride home on the bus was a sauna, and it brought out the worst in the boys, who for some reason had turned into a pack of cackling hyenas that year. While the rest of us fanned ourselves with notebooks or sighed in submission to the heat, they started making lists, and they were not harmless to-do lists. The prettiest girls, the bossiest girls, the girls with the best hair. My best friend Ashley made that list. The girls with the worst hair. Your basic degrading grading system for girl human beings. Then Quinn, or Hyena 1, said, "Let's make a list of the girls with the hairiest arms." Because why not, right? Instinctively, I pulled at my short sleeves. I didn't have a sweater or cover-up because 98 degrees. Together, the hyenas said, "K-chops!" Yuck, yuck, yuckity yuck. Yes, I, Karina Chopra, was at the top of the list. The only one on the list. The boys thought it was so hilarious that they couldn't stop laughing long enough to name anyone else. I glanced around through lowered lids. Some of the kids nearby pretended they hadn't heard, but I knew they had, because they weren't wearing earplugs and none of them had a hearing problem. Others were laughing. For the briefest moment in time, like a nanosecond, I caught Chris Daniels' eye. He wiped off his grin the moment our eyes met, then looked away, because he had been seen. Back then, I envied girls who had older brothers or sisters to protect them from bullies. Before the hairy arms incident, I imagined that my neighbor Chris, who had grown taller and bigger, would one day be my friend and stand up for me. His older brother Matt was always friendly to me, but he had gone off to college a few years back. After I saw Chris being a jerk with his friends, I realized he was not Superman, and I didn't need rescuing anyway. The rest of the way home, I was mad at myself for caring. Ashley, who usually sat with me on the bus, was homesick that day. If she had been there, she would have glared at the hyenas and said, "Karina, they're all fools." But in a way, I was just as glad she missed it all. Who needs a witness to humiliation? From that day forward, I wore a lot of long-sleeved shirts to cover up my arms, even in the heat of Houston, Texas. At first, Mom didn't notice. She and Dad were busy building their sandwich franchise. Mom had quit her 9-to-5 job at an oil company a year before. Dad still had his day job as a computer systems analyst, which meant he was working 25 out of 24 hours. Finally, one day Mom looked at me and said, "Karina, what happened to all the cute shirts that we bought for back to school?" She had caught me off guard, so I blurted out the truth. "They all have short sleeves, and I need to cover up my ugly arms." Mom and Dad exchanged one of their looks. "Oh, Karina," Mom said, "boys can be awful. Don't let them get to you. Your arms are not ugly." But a mother has to say that, right? Around the same time, I was passed a note. It had my name on it in big, bold letters, Karina. I turned to see who had written to me, but everybody had their heads down. I opened the note, and the same bold letters spelled, "Curry chop stinks, go home." When I looked back, Hyena 1, otherwise named Quinn, was giggling. I read the note again. This time I took a deep breath to calm myself. I didn't live under a rock. I knew that since 9/11, when the Twin Towers tumbled and terror came to our shores, people have looked at brown skin with suspicion. I wasn't even born then, but the stories were whispered in South Asian immigrant homes for years after. Usually, the adults tried to shield us kids. Even so, the fear seeped through closed doors and ventilation ducts. "Be careful," they said. "Be careful." When I was 7 or 8, my older cousin told me of the Sikh American man who got shot in Arizona after the 9/11 attacks, probably because he was wearing a turban, and that alone made the murderer think foreigner, terrorist. My cousin had been telling us ghost stories. Somehow she ended up telling us a real story that was even scarier. I was thankful that my father and grandfather didn't wear turbans, and I worried for my friends whose fathers and grandfathers did. My parents calmed my fears. They believed in America and said we were still safe. I trusted them because I wanted to. It could never happen to me, I told myself. And why would it happen to me? I was like my friends and peers. I reread the note. "Curry chop stinks. Go home." Was I different from my friends and peers? I knew I didn't stink. The note was Quinn's way of saying he thought I was un-American, even though I was born in Texas, and so were my parents. I remember crumpling the note very deliberately and tossing it in the trash can when the teacher wasn't looking. And for once, despite my shaky hands, it fell into the basket in one determined arc, because that was where it belonged, and the universe knew that. I noticed Chris Daniels watching me make that throw. When I told my dad about the note, he let out a swear word, and I could see how upset he was. "Ignore the haters, Karina," he told me. "Keep your head down and work. My father always said that the best revenge is success. And remember, this is your country as much as it is Quinn's." All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us again for this virtual family day. If you guys liked Karina's story and you want to hear more, Count Me In is available for order online and over the phone at Brazos. And hopefully sometime soon we will see you guys in the store. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day.